everybody, I am Kathy Fielder and welcome back to the Fielder Report. I'm here with Alanna Sarabia, host of Good Morning Texas here in Dallas. Welcome.
You did so good, by the way.
Oh, thank
my last name. You did so
well,
good.
you are an expert, so I'm very appreciative of that.
Oh, you're kind. Yeah, thanks for having me here. I know that we've been friends for many years, so I feel like this is a little overdue, but you know what, considering the times.
Well, and I loved whenever I reached out to you, you said, sure, I'd love to be the one being interviewed versus the interviewer. So
I'm gonna be real honest, it makes me a little nervous because I'm not used to it.
Yes,
so
of course.
Be easy on me.
Well, and you know, it's funny, I'm more used to being interviewed, so this is kind of a switch for me too. So it's good for both of us, yes. A little vulnerability cannot hurt, especially in today's kind of times.
That's the truth. Well, if you have any tips for me whenever we're done, I'll take them.
Very good, same.
You got it.
So tell me, you know, you're a newscaster. First of all, how do you start your day? What time do you have to get up in the morning?
So many people think I'm up at like 1 a.m.
Right.
Like, no.
But you go to bed at 4 p.m. or?
No, I'm actually really bad at going to bed. I average like falling asleep by like 11:45.
Oh.
I know, and that shouldn't be the case. But no, I'm up around 6:30. My day starts around 7. And here's why: the entire show. So Good Morning Texas is an hour long, but it's put to bed the day before. So often, because we aren't like a newscast, and newscasts have to do, up to real time breaking news. What's the absolute latest leading up to the beginning of that show?
So you have a little.
That's not the case for us per se. We still want to be, timely and relevant, but yeah, we can put the show to bed.
A little bit of that pressure's taken off.
In the morning of, if there's anything that's changed or there's an update or whatever, we can just casually go in and fix that. But yeah, sometimes I lie to people. I'm like, I'm up at 2:30 a.m. Really? No, so not bad.
Tell me, when COVID obviously first hit, you were probably at home doing newscasts from home.
Yes, I was like, I don't know, it's been such a long time.
It's so nice to be like in person
Yes.
and having a conversation because it definitely creates a different dynamic. And now, are you in the studio every morning?
Yeah, so Kathy, honestly, you were the first person that I've had a conversation with in front of a camera since the last guest I had was like March 13th, and it was Courtney Kerr. Yeah, shout out to Courtney Kerr. Yeah, it was like a Friday. She came on for some kind of, like a skin segment or something. After that, like the world shut down. Yeah, the world shut down. I was sent home, and they sent me like overtime. I got my camera, like my production set up, my all of everything that I would need in studio, I got at home. And that was the case for a few months. And WFA started doing like these phases. It's like, all right, everybody has to leave the building, and I really want to commend my company for doing such a seamless job. When we all could have gone chaotic and just crazy, they just really got on top of it and controlled it really, really well as far as making sure the employees were safe, on air was safe, whoever was at home got needed everything. I mean, and shout out to our engineers too, because I know they were working around the clock.
There are a lot of good things that have come out of COVID and our experience. What's something that you feel like might be the most positive experience?
Okay, so the most positive as far as maybe work. I do miss guests. I do miss, because that is a really cool experience to look somebody in the eye and hear their story. But because of COVID, we're now talking to people literally all over the world on Good Morning Texas at 9 a.m. I interviewed somebody in Ibiza the other day.
I was going to ask you, who's your favorite guest, or some of your most favorite dynamic guests that you've had out?
Pre-COVID or COVID?
Well, let's say both. Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. I really love all of my actor interviews. I have a chance to interview a lot of the cast of whatever movie's coming out, and I usually think of when somebody asks me that, I got to interview the cast of Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm already a big fan of Queen, and the movie was just fantastic. I got so many accolades, and it was just the actors were very into depending on the actor's mood, it can either be a good conversation or just why am I wasting my time?
Maybe how late they were out last night.
No kidding.
Right,
yes.
right.
So,
and there's all these factors, right?
Yes.
And not everybody's great at being interviewed or wants to be interviewed necessarily. Right. So that is a very dynamic. You kind of have to pull that conversation sometime.
And they were about it. Rami Malek, who played Freddie Mercury. Oh my gosh, that's to me very memorable.
He's a dynamic,
isn't he?
Yeah.
No,
really
he's
spectacular.
He's really cool. I can't pick one during COVID, but just anybody who's gotten up at 3 or 4 a.m. wherever they are to talk with us on Good Morning Texas. Even if that Zoom signal is kind of it's just wow, that's really neat that you did that for us.
Do you think that the general population or the people that you're talking to, I feel like there's a movement that we want to hear positive stories and we want to see a bigger picture that's moving forward and to kind of take us out of this pit that we all felt like we were kind of in, trying to get out of. I mean, what's kind of your impression from what you're hearing? And
well, luckily the staff is taking a lot of like surveys, and that's definitely the trend. Like, people are so tired of hearing the gloom, and that's how we used to start the show. It was like, hey guys, here's the breaking news.
Right.
X amount of people in this county. X amount of people. We're not doing that anymore. You know, it's like beating a dead horse.
Absolutely.
You know, and oh, that was probably a bad pun there, but
but
you
I mean,
understand.
the thing of it is that there is a lot of gloom, right? Obviously, and there's an education factor, but at some point, I believe, as the human race, we want to uplift and move forward, and we all look for solutions to do that.
And we are trying to. In fact, the team has kind of changed our minds a little bit whenever we're looking for content now to fill our show. And it's, you know, we could talk about the coffee shop across the way, and we could bring the owner on, sure. But what's the story? Like, what's the compelling,
Everybody
uplifting
wants
story?
to hear this story.
What's the story?
So speaking of that, tell me your story a little bit. How did you get to where you are? Super successful. You're on a morning show. Like, it's such a cool, glamorous job. Which I know is not always the case, but it appears it, right?
Because you see my face?
Yeah, I know. But you're very good at making it look so glamorous and awesome.
Oh my
So
gosh.
how did you get here? Tell me about
Looks
you.
can be deceiving.
Girl,
Thank you so much, and great segue also. I love that. Oh, that was a good segue. I gotta remember that one. My story. So I went to school for, you know, a lot of people are like, so who did you pay? I'm like, I didn't pay anybody. I just applied,
hard.
you know. I started in San Antonio, and I've always done lifestyle shows. So I've never been on an anchor desk. I've never reported, you know, out in a field or anything like that. Well, sort of, but you know, entertainment feature called, you know, lifestyle. But I did that in San Antonio, and I'm from Grand Prairie. Like, I'm originally from North Texas, and a lot of people think I'm from San Antonio,
right?
Because that's where I came. Nope. So yeah, I remember growing up watching WFAA. I watched Gloria Campos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I watched Greg Fields, also, who now I get to work alongside with, so that's such a feeling. But whenever a position opened up, I just did what everybody else did, and I applied and went through the process. And what I think they liked about me was that I'm a hometown girl. Like, these are my roots, you know. So I think that helped out, I guess, a little bit.
It's got a great relatability factor for sure.
And you know what? I think it helps, and I think the viewers see that, and it makes them kind of feel. I get a lot of emails from my family and friends and acquaintances of people I don't know from, like, Grand Prairie, you know, where I'm from.
Yeah,
so
which is fantastic.
It's been really humbling, you know, to work where I grew up watching, but it's also been a growing experience. I had to learn a lot here because this is Market 5, and I came from Market 31, which is still a great market to come from.
Totally, completely different.
I'll never forget, somebody told me when I got here, they're like, all right, Alanna, we need to Dallasify you. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm terrified. But I'm still around, so I think I did okay.
You have done an amazing job.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, actually. I think that you are extraordinary. You have this incredibly positive, vivacious vibe about you, and I've always enjoyed it. So
I do appreciate that. I do, and I think that's something that's really important that I learned early on when I moved here. Is I didn't know really anyone. I had a handful of friends, but I had this community that kind of took me under their wing, and you're a part of that. And so thank you. And of course, Jane McGarry, my co-host too, she really taught me a lot. And it's funny. She's gonna kill me, but not really. She has been an anchor for many, like maybe 3.5 decades.
She's a seasoned professional.
Absolutely, but on an anchor desk. And so here I am. I'm like, oh, McGarry, this is the first time here in my world. So she has taught me a lot about interviewing, about getting out of sticky situations. But on the flip side of that, she's like, oh, okay, noted. And so I've taught her just a few. I mean, I don't know if I actually taught her, but we help each other out, you know, and that's what really makes us work.
Absolutely. So tell me what the most favorite thing about your job is. What do you love the most?
Let's see. I gotta think about that one. There's a few things there, but if I had to pick
Probably
one,
should have given you a heads up on that question, right?
okay.
But it just came to me, like, you know, because people do view your job as like an extraordinary and such an engaging experience, and you do. You get to meet amazing people versus, you know, in person versus over Zoom, and so, you know, there are so many things that are so dynamic about it.
Thank you, and I think I actually want to clear the air on that. It is extraordinary, and it is, you know, glamorous for maybe in 60 minutes, on air.
Right.
But just understand that what you see on air is just a teeny tiny fraction of what the job actually entails.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I was like, I need if you guys knew my lifestyle, if you knew
I
what
get told
drove,
often my life is so glamorous, and my life is really not that glamorous. It's glamorous for a shot here and there, right?
But, well, I think you're pretty glam, Kathy. Yeah, your goals.
Oh, that's so sweet. But no, I think it's really important to acknowledge that, and it's very important. I have a 16-year-old daughter who knows very well what goes behind all this glamorous picture that we're all looking at.
Right.
And I'm thankful that she sees that.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's great that you pointed that out.
Yeah, and kudos to you for teaching her that at a young age.
Absolutely. It's very important.
That's so important. It is. And TV is no different. And I'm also going to say TV is not what it used to be, too. I mean, it has changed so much. I mean, graduating from, university, instead of, you can't say, hey, I'm going to go be a TV host. It's like, no, I need to, I want to do, let's say if I want to be a television host, you also need
you don't even know if you can get to class right now, right? I mean,
well, that too.
I mean, there's so many different variables, and you're right.
Shooting camera,
it's a whole different
editing,
world.
Being in front of the camera, being behind the camera. I mean, you have to learn all of it to even get your foot in the door these days. So I mean, it's a very tedious job. So haven't learned how to shoot camera yet.
Oh, you haven't? Is that your next?
One day.
All right. Do you think that your viewership has changed? Is it hard to say?
Since I've been on?
Yeah. No. Well, since March.
Oh.
More people are home. They're watching TV. Do you have more engagement? I feel like people aren't running around as crazy. They are looking for things to inspire them.
And the numbers show that has been the case. Absolutely. Because you're right. More people are at home, and but with that, there's a lot of responsibility from us to then give them what they want to see. Is it the numbers? Was that the case in the beginning of COVID? Or was it maybe something to distract them? Because we're all in a lockdown right now. Assuming this is beginning of COVID. And now that, back to school has started, and that whole debacle and discussion, the focus has changed. And so it's just our job to try and stay with what everybody's, thinking without actually being a part of their lives.
Well, and your job is a little bit to stay ahead of the trend, right?
And that can be hard.
It's very hard, especially right now because no trends are trends. Yeah. And so, going back to the conversations that people really want to hear, and I feel like that the conversation is changing on a weekly basis for all of us. And so how do you navigate that? Is there a content creator? Do you just kind of like make your content as you go and run it off your producer and
I will share this with everybody. I love sharing this. In fact, and I've had a few groups call me to come and speak to their group about earning free marketing. I would say free marketing, but it's earn. What is it called? Earn marketing. Whatever, if you want to be on the show, this is how you do it. Every Tuesday, and this is no secret, every Tuesday the team has a planning meeting. And so we look at the calendar for the next 2 or 3 weeks ahead, and we say, okay, we have some holes here. Let's take a look what's already booked and see what fits well. Everybody bring your pitches. And so we go around the room. Hey, I saw this when I was driving down Lower Greenville. I saw this on the side of a bus that we could turn the story, make it local here. Here's this national story. Here's how we can make it local.
So everybody just brings it to the table.
Bring it all together. And so we have a lot of publicists that reach out to us because they have their clients.
Of course.
Right. And so, but even if it's a publicist pitch, it still might be a good story.
Well, and right now I know for a fact that everybody wants to hear the stories of people and what they're going through and what they're doing in order to improve their situation, or how they're adjusting to what we're all experiencing at the time, right? And so I think those human stories are so valid and so important. And so, that's actually a great tip for small business owners, is understanding that right now people just want to hear your story and why you are where you are, or how you're staying viable and all of those things. And those are such relevant things and such a great tip to kind of reiterate to all of those of you who are watching, who are trying to keep your businesses afloat or move forward.
You nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're looking for, yeah. And so I think what you might not realize is, even if we're sharing a story about the coffee shop across the street, and there isn't a coffee shop. Actually, I don't know if there's a coffee shop, but we might share their story, but then we're also kind of very indirectly giving them some marketing too. Like, wait, what's this coffee shop again? No, it's the one off of, so it's kind of it's a win-win. We get our content, they get, some nice shout outs and love, but then the viewer gets that uplifting content too.
Absolutely. So let's switch a little bit and let's talk 2 things. Let's talk travel and fashion. Two of my very favorite subjects. I know. So travel obviously has been a little bit limited, to say the least. Tell me where you're missing the most.
Oh man, I had to cancel a few mountain trips so far, and if I could be social distancing anywhere, it would be out to the mountains. And so
sure.
I love the Rocky Mountains. I love going out to Colorado and like northern New Mexico. So I do have, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to be very safe and wash my hands and wear my mask. I'm going to explore northern Michigan soon.
Nice.
Yeah. So I know
you're going to the lake.
Yeah, I'm going to like Traverse
Lake
City.
Michigan is the best. It's really great.
Mackinac
it's
Island?
massive, so it looks like you're actually at the ocean. I've been craving the ocean, something
Really
fierce. We did go to the ocean for a couple of days. We drove
to like the
Florida.
My
My daughter Bella and I, we drove to Florida. We did a road trip.
A girls trip.
Yeah, it was really fun. And then the boys met us there a little bit later. But the ocean is like this need for me, and I didn't realize how important it was. Kind of like the mountains probably are for you, it sounds like. And so I'm craving those blue beaches in the Caribbean more than I can express. But it'll happen.
That's
It'll
so
happen.
interesting. Yeah, I'm the like least beach person, Yeah, and so anytime someone talks about like I just want to go to the beach, I'm like all I hear is a two-piece, and I don't want to be in a two-piece.
You're like, especially after the COVID-15.
Yeah, not happening. No, but I'm glad that you took the trip.
For sure, and it was one of the best times I've ever had with Isabella. I mean, we played different musicals and sang at the top of our lungs. I know, it was fantastic. So, and I don't know that we would have done that necessarily that way if it hadn't have been COVID.
Yes.
Right? Because we probably would have hopped on a plane. We're actually going out to look at some horses, and I think we would have hopped on a plane, gone for a day or two, and came on back because life was so busy. And you know, and so that brings me to another thought. I mean, life is obviously slower now, and we've kind of figured out our priorities, the most important things to us. I feel like most of us have kind of done some, reflection. What do you feel like that you've kind of gotten rid of a few things that maybe didn't matter so much?
Oh my gosh, Kathy, in a weird way, so Dallas, as you know, in fact, I think this is how I met you. Dallas is such a social city.
It's incredibly
Every
social.
night there's something on. There's a new
3,
opening.
4,
There's a
5.
new this. There's a new that.
Yeah.
And often I remember I look at my calendar and think, oh no, I'm not doing something every night. Oh wait, and then that would change in a matter of an hour or something. And it's like, no, we have to go. Oh, they invited me. You have to be there. You have to show up. You can't hurt their feelings. Whoa, all of that abruptly stopped, and it's never become more clear how much time I put into things that weren't that important. Not to say this person's whatever it wasn't important, or well, it wasn't important. No, but it's like, wait, my time is important.
We weren't
too.
putting us first.
Right.
And we weren't being whole. We were just running like a tornado. And I mean, I had this steadfast rule. People often thought that I was out every night of the week. Obviously, there's an opportunity, like you just said. But I had this steadfast rule that I would try to be home every other night because of my kids, right? And my husband always traveled. And so, but it was always this pressure because there were so many things to be at and places to be. Yeah. And so now having been able to be home and relax and understand that that family is so important to me. Being home and being fully just prepared for the next day and not running around, it's been a blessing, I feel like.
I agree. No, I completely agree. So I don't have a family, but it's helped me realize, like, I think I want to start on my family soon. And so I think I haven't been putting as much focus on that. So
that's exciting.
Now, there's a little hint there. There's something.
You heard it here.
I mean, I have to try and do this before anything else. And so, baby steps, but I've been putting much more energy into that. But also and it's so strange. So I'm a practicing Catholic, and I love going to Mass on Sundays. And now we can't go to Mass, and so I'm taking, communion through reading some prompts on the screen. I'm like, this is
so
Jesus
strange.
Understands. I know Jesus knows what we're going through right now, but it's also in a very odd way. Even though I'm further away from the church, I feel closer to the church also in my faith.
Again, because I feel like we're getting rid of some of those extra layers that were unnecessary so that we can just really be real and raw and really know who we are. I know I figured out a lot about myself through this experience.
No kidding.
And what matters to me and what my priorities really are, and it's refined them for me. So I think it's again, I feel like it's an incredible blessing.
I made the mistake of saying, and I just, maybe you can help me kind of reword this statement. I said it's COVID's been kind of like a blessing and a curse for others who have been affected, a blessing for me, but it's not even a blessing. With all of the deaths and those who were affected by COVID, no way would I want that on even my enemy. No. But for me in my personal life, it's been a really nice abrupt stop, and I'm really thankful.
But I think sometimes the most stringent and horrible situations bring about the most good, unfortunately. I think history's proven that, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I did say that to one person, and they were like, "Really?" I was like, "No, that's not what I meant. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. When in doubt, just don't speak."
Well, and I think sometimes, I know we've learned a lot of grace and when to speak and when not to speak over the past several months, and that's a really key lesson. And so, but just moving on just a little bit, let's talk fashion. We're getting close. I could talk to you all day. So, but let's talk about, you love fashion, right?
Here's a funny thing. I'm like a trickster. Like, I love fashion, but I don't really know what I'm doing. But I know what I like, and I like to take a little bit of whatever trend is going on right now, and then just add it to whatever I've had in my closet for years. For instance, I love your huggy earrings so much. In fact, I think, wait. I have such big earrings on today, I had to take them off. But they haven't left my ear since, which is So anyway, they're wonderful.
We make them here, in-house, Honey and Violet. So
you guys gotta
we have
check.
this great team, super creative.
Very
and
affordable too, I love that.
Right, and it's just so much fun because they are affordable and they're easy to wear and they're fun designs. Yeah, they do have great meaning. And when I launched that, we give a portion of all proceeds to help children, orphans worldwide. So that is a big passionate project for me, especially now more than ever.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So, but fashion is I think changed so much. But now I think we're starting to see people get dressed up again. A little bit. I think we're all so tired of wearing sneakers and Lululemon and workout clothes that we're like, okay, I'm ready to do my hair, put on some makeup, get dressed up, put on some heels, all of those things.
I
do you get that kind of sense too?
Well, the things I haven't had to stop dressing up, and so I'm like, you guys are lucky. I want to put on my stretchy.
We had that around here too, so I get that. But
it's of course. So Dillard's sponsors Jay and I, and so whatever. And just today we're like, whatever the Dillard's we're gonna be wearing, assuming it's in style, and we're very thankful for that. But on my own time, whenever I'm not playing television host and I get to just be Alanna. In fact, honestly, and I promise I am not telling you this because I'm in your boutique, but you're this kind of laid back, very casual, yet chic and feminine.
Thank you.
But still, I see a t-shirt there, but it's not just a t-shirt. It's something that I would probably wear, put a leather jacket on top with a nice statement ear. That's truly.
That's your style.
That's my style.
Of course.
And
when you're going to have a different style on air than every day. And that's actually kind of fun because you get to do a few looks in different styles, which I always like because I have a lot of different styles too, right? I do think that, thank you for the compliment, by the way. We shifted so much with the pandemic, and at some point we were just all loungewear, right? Everybody was, and then we kind of now we're adding in more chic, but still the style and the fashion right now is easygoing chic, put together, but still something that you can just throw on, walk out the door, throw your mask on, whatever you're doing, right? Who would have thought that mask would be a statement piece, but now they are. So tell me what's next on the horizon for you.
It's a loaded question, Kathy.
I know, I'm putting you on the spot, but
that's okay. In the horizon, I
just know you, and I know you're always looking forward.
I am.
To what's, new beginnings or these sorts of things.
You know what? That was a great way to put it. I am anticipating some new chapters, anticipating ending some chapters, but also, and I kind of gave it away a little bit earlier too. I'd like to work on my future family, and this is something I like to say a lot. I have these marble jars, and it's work and family and personal relationships and faith and just all of the life marble jars, and I have dumped all of my marbles in one jar, and so it's time to start spreading them out and seeing where the values are. Weird explanation, I know, but that's the best way I can explain. So I have some things coming up that'll be good for Alanna.
That's amazing. And right now, I think we've all learned that taking care of us is really paramount. Because if we're not healthy and happy, then we really can't take care of the people around us.
So true.
And so I think that that's a huge lesson I've learned throughout this whole experience, and have really tried to start making myself feel better about me so that I can better serve those around me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Fielder Report today. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
It was great talking with you. I know. Sorry, I came in, I was like, what's up, girl?
I know. Yeah, you kind of do this whole thing.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and we will see you on the next Fielder Report.